What do you want? Those words pierced the silence of my thoughts as I walked in solitude on the high plains of the Spanish Meseta. It was as though God himself took a moment to interrupt my pilgrimage and ask that pointed question. And so it began. What do I want? I wondered. For miles that day, the question turned in my mind. What do I want? I mean, how do you begin to address that question? What do I want now? What do I want for lunch? What do I want for accommodations this evening? What do I want out of this Camino? What do I want out of life itself? What do I want? Walking gave way to arriving and resting and the next morning, and the question seemed to pass into yesterday, into history, all but forgotten. Until about a week later, we arrived at Rabanal. I've said before, Rabanal is a thin place for me. It's seemingly the closest place on earth for me to encounter God. It is as though God lives there, and when I visit, I know I get to be with him. That evening, the monks of Rabanal led us in Vespers, completely in Spanish. At a certain point in the prayers, the officiant stepped forward and asked all of us a question, but not in Spanish. It was in strong, clear English. The monk began his sermon with this question: why are you here? I didn't hear the rest of the sermon. The questions began all over again, similar to the questions from the Meseta. How do I address that question? Why am I here in the chapel? Why am I here in Rabanal? Why am I here on the Camino? Why am I here on earth? Vespers ended, and so did the evening. The next morning we walked again, and in 10 days' time or so we would arrive in Santiago. And for those 10 days, those two questions replayed over and over in my mind. There has to be an answer, a related answer, maybe the same answer to both of those questions. But what was it? Finally, we arrived in Santiago and attended the Pilgrim's Mass. Again, the Mass was completely in Spanish, except for certain parts of the sermon. And this time, I heard the priest say just one thing: your Camino is not over, it's just beginning. Your Camino is not over, it's just beginning. Meaning your Camino is just beginning as you leave here and journey on your way through life. What do I want? Why am I here? My Camino is just beginning. My brothers and sisters, those are my words to you too. What do you want? Why are you here? Your Camino, your journey is not ending. It's only beginning. We're at a crossroads, a point of transition. Our journey is taking us to a new place. And so I invite you to own those questions. We've traveled far on this COVID Camino, and in reality, our Camino is not ending. It's just beginning. For we are called not to stay here in fear and isolation, in anger and frustration or confusion, but we're called to walk the way of love, to embark on the Camino of love, the Camino de Amor, as Bishop Curry calls it. Why are we here? To love God and love one another. What do we want? To love and be loved by God and one another. What's our next step? To walk the Camino de Amor. And this, my fellow pilgrims, we shall do together in our future devotions. Buen Camino, God bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you.